Hey guys, God bless. Welcome back to my channel. I am Charlene, and today I'm going to talk about modesty. Modesty is a subject that I personally can relate to. I have a dozen experiences with the modesty category. I am young. I'm only 32. I'm a pastor's wife, newly, but I am. And before that, I used to be a single mom. And shortly after, I became a married mother. And I think with each stage and phase in life came different challenges. And we have a lot to unpack here. I've been trying to record this type of video for a long time, but God was dealing with me, freshly dealing with me when the subject came up. And I am a firm believer that, you know what, before I can help you get the speck out your eye, I need to make sure I'm taking care of the one that's in mine. And a lot of people use that scripture in reference to not judge at all, but it's simply not what it's saying. It's saying I just need to take care of me first before I open my mouth. And I thank God for that experience and that process, because I can sit here and say it can be done. It can be done. God can give you a message that applies to yourself, and you need to take care of yourself. And then you go out and you spread the wisdom and the knowledge. This happens to ministers and pastors all the time. Obviously, I'm not one, but I cannot now deny the fact that God has obviously given me the gift of teaching. So I will embrace that and stop being scared. But I had to write this thing out because I do want to touch on different levels and categories of modesty, because a lot of the videos you'll find is personal reflection. Because even though people go to the scripture that says, and do not be so concerned with what you can adorn the body with outside, but worry about what's on the inside. A lot of people take that literally, so they stay away from braids and jewelry and all that stuff. But in that context, it's simply saying, focus on the inside more than you focus on the outside. So earrings aren't a sin. Makeup isn't a sin. I would say, however, this is where it's very important to have this type of discussion with your husband before marriage, or when you're dating, so he's not yet your husband, but you get what I'm saying. Because when you become one flesh, one body with your husband and wife, it matters a lot how they view and feel about these things. And just like, for example, naturally speaking, honestly, I could care less if I never wore heels or purses ever again in my life. I could care less. Like, I won't die. I won't faint. However, my husband loves how I look when I dress up in these things. You know what I'm saying? Not saying he don't love me without them, but he often says that he feels as I deserve to have these things, and he likes buying these things for me. So that is his love language, gifts. He likes giving gifts. So am I going to be a jerk and say, stop buying me gifts? Now, I do have some say, because, you know, there's always preference and stuff. But you have to figure out, you know, if that's something that is a deal breaker or not in your marriage before you guys get married. And obviously, it's not a deal breaker for us. He understands that, oh, I'm going to give you what you want on Sunday most of the time. But days like this, I'm chilling. But the categories I'm going to touch on in different parts videos, because obviously this is going to be a really long video. Each part probably be at least 15 minutes. And this one's going to be my thoughts in general. And then I'm going to do one on advice. And then I'm going to do one on the heart, like your feelings and your emotions and how you feel eternally about this thing, and continue to reflect on my own personal experiences. I want to talk about finances, because that plays a part, and a lot of people don't talk about that. I'm going to talk about cultural differences. I'm going to talk about bias and sexist opinions and views. I'm going to talk about and prejudice views too, because I'm gonna go there. Convictions, talk about my own personal, which I might, and these are not in no particular order. And then obviously I'm gonna talk about grace. But in this video, I'm just gonna give you my overall general thought and opinion. Like I said, I struggle with this myself because I failed in a category where as long as you cannot actively and vividly see a actual body part that is used for sex, then I'm good. That was my thought. That was my opinion. And you'll find this hugely and largely in the group of teens, young adults. Like, matter of fact, more so probably young adults, where it's like, okay, I'm beginning to read more, understand more. People are talking about it more because now you get to this point where it's like, are you dressing age appropriate, you know? So somewhere around that area, that's when you start having the more heated conversations about, this is my body, I do what I want, you don't tell me what to do. Everybody got their own opinion of modesty, which that's not true. Much like the entire Bible, all the advice is generally speaking to all, no matter who, what, when, and why. Just like with drinking, it says, be sober-minded, don't give in to wine. This means for everybody to not take it there. However, you got some people to say, well, because I do it in my home, or if I do it with my wife, or I do it with family and things of that nature, that it's okay. But there is no exceptions to God's rules. We all follow under the same category, no matter what happens and what's going on. And obviously this gets harder and harder when you get to more sensitive matters such as abortion. People want to say, well, my issue and my situation is exception. No. Murder is wrong. Having a skirt up to your butt is wrong. Like, no matter who you are, what you're doing, how you living, it's wrong. And that's something that, like I said, I had to deal with that myself. Like, I'm like, as I was real adamant about it. And a lot of people, I'm talking about most of the people, when it comes to a difference in modesty, they fall under this right here where it says two categories. Whereas I'm not showing the actual visual parts that will conclude or result to sex. And the other group is I'm grown and I make that call. And they both wrong. Like, obviously. And I am now at the place where me and my sister were having a conversation and we say, you know what? She's 31, I'm 32. And we're finally at the point where we're just like, look, I want to be comfortable in my clothes. I want to be appropriate in my clothes. And I want to set an example in my clothes. And it took a while for us to get here, obviously. And I think a lot of that has also to do with body changes. And I even look at that like God's timing and planning, because when you got it all together, you want everybody to see it. You want everybody to recognize it. You want everybody to compliment you. Like, it's in us. And if anybody would have said that that's not true, they're a lie. Because why post? If you're not seeking attention and you honestly are doing something for yourself, then you can take a picture and keep it to yourself and just look at it. Why you got to post it on social media? And that's a fight that I'm not even willing to have with anybody. I'm just like, you know that right now, I'm not going to have it. I will literally delete your comment, because I know as someone who's been on that side and now on this side, it's true. Like, if you dig deep rooted within yourself, it's true that we are attention-seeking human beings. And we want to seek everybody's attention but God's. Like, we want to go to everybody but God. God knows how we look. He created us. We don't have to plaster our body parts all over social media at all. And like I said, being from different stages in my life, because I was at a stage where we were broke and poor growing up. So it wasn't like I could get what I really want to wear. And then I got to a point where things got a little easier and we were dressing a little bit better and things. And it's like, you come into the recognition like, oh, behind all those baggish, tomboyish clothes, there's a shape under there. And then obviously if you're recognizing, who else is recognizing it? Everybody else. And then here comes the attention. And it's like, I kind of like that. So then you feed into it, and now everything you buy and wear is complementing your figure. And that's not okay. And there's a little piece of teeny gray line in between there where obviously you don't go out wearing a trash bag every day, but you learn to be modest. You learn to dress appropriately. Like I said, I'm married. I have a husband who really loves me and my body. And obviously he doesn't want me walking around here looking like he doesn't love me. So sometimes he buys me dresses that he likes. He does a really good job too. Sometimes when we're together, I'm just like, no. His bad is real bad. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not wearing that. But anyway, but there's a difference in age too. So like I said, all these things matter and they are a factor when it comes to modesty and dressing. Age differences, culture differences, like, for the most part, we're in America, so fair game, right? So we don't really have to worry about other aspects. But for me, I'm now at a phase where 99.9% of the time I want to wear a dress. 99.9% of the time, my dress, I prefer it to be cotton, because it feels better, it fits better, it lasts longer. Obviously the blended cotton and polyesters, they're not bad, they're not horrible because they're stretchy, but I love a cotton dress. Like, I love cotton, period. But and then like I said, with heels and things of that nature, I was smaller, so my heels were a little taller. Well, they never were too tall anyway, because I always had bad ankles. But now I'm just like, give me sandals, like, as long as I'm decent and clean and organized and matching, I'm comfortable. And I'm definitely, because I never was the type that want to have my cheeks out. Like, I never was that girl. But I always like to be able to do the, that shape that goes like that. Like, I like seeing that in my dresses and my shirts and my pants and things of that nature. And I got complimented a lot for, like, more than half of my existence. I got compliments and recognition for that most of my life. And it came from men and women. And this is where I got uneasy, because naturally you say, hey, I'm just trying to get men attention. But then when the women give you attention, it's like, that's not what I want. But you got to be mindful that the idea is attention, period. You cannot control whose attention you're going to get. And that's the biggest lesson out of all of this. Like, you can't say, well, I don't feel a way about it. My husband ain't necessarily saying nothing about it, because that's a whole nother conversation. You got some men who are not stepping into their role of authority and being the head, that they give in to this culture of dressing half naked and tight and inappropriate, and they even find it amusing. Like, oh, you looking at my wife? Was she mine? And it's like, it sound good, but then when that same concept, because when you think about celebrities and big YouTube gurus and Instagram and all that stuff, it's like you're plastering yourself everywhere. But when that same plastering comes back and slap you in the face, and then somebody took your spouse or somebody's trying to holler at you inappropriately, it's like, what are you going to say? You kind of planted the seed of attention wins you. And we just got to be careful, right? And like I said, for me, now, at one point, it was a very faint point, but at one point, I did like the concept of like the push-up bra and just having that little bit showing, but that quickly faded because I became insecure about that, because I'm like, I didn't think they were pretty. So I was just like, that was dumb. But like I said, I never was a butt cheek person. Like, I never wore short shorts. Like, look at this. I always felt some type of way about that because I know I am darker. But I just enjoyed the shape of me. But God dealt with me too, because it's like, you think just because you're not vividly actively showing cleavage or your buttocks that you're not still in the wrong, and that could be so far from the truth. Like, you're still wrong from having that pretty cute hourglass shape and wanting the world to see and wanting to paint your clothes on, whereas everything about the intention of what God says in his word is for us to be a light for what's on the inside of us, not the outside of us. Let people look at you and notice the vibrant glow of holiness, righteousness, kindness, love, patience. Let that be the visible things. Now, obviously, there are some things that people can't help, and we're going to get into that in another video. But for right now, I just would like to end on a note of pray about it. Please pray about it. Pray about this whole conversation. Pray about this series. Pray for your daughters, aunts, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, children. Pray for them and ask that God pray for you, because I'm now seeing an increasingly weirdly, awkwardly inappropriateness with middle-aged to older women, and it's sad. And that's what we're dealing with. So we got to pray about this thing. So stay tuned for part 1, because this was like intro of this Modest series. I love you guys. God bless. Take care. Bye.